Welcome to video 2 in the Shark Tank series. This video is going to look specifically at the suitability analysis tool. My map is right where we left it at the end of video 1. These are the smart map search results. And the first thing I'm going to do is turn on my geography. So part of the last video was showing you how to create sites. This map looks like it's ready to go, but these are just results of a search. It's not permanent data. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my sites. And that's going to allow me to do the next section. It doesn't really look like much changed other than now the style's a little bit different, but I'll show you why it's important. So to run the suitability analysis, we're still going to be under the maps function. We created a map, now we're going to run an analysis. And it's going to start right here. Remember, business analyst starts wherever you left off in any of your processes. So this is the screen you'll see when you turn on suitability analysis. Go ahead and click Get Started. Now, you would think adding sites from your project is what you need to do, but unfortunately it caps you at 30. Just like Smart Maps caps you at 5 variables, it caps you at 30 sites for some reason. So really what you want to do is start with features on map, which is why we selected our geographies. And now I have all 126 sites. So I can go ahead and click Next. This screen looks exactly the same as our smart map search, and for the most part, they are very similar. Go ahead and click Add Criteria and Add Variables from Data Browser. It takes you back to this menu that you're really familiar with from smart map searching and also from enrichment. And go ahead and click the Favorites button because now I don't have to search for those variables again. I have them all saved. One thing you'll notice is that I have more than 5 variables because the favorites save across all of Shark Tank or all of Business Analyst and not just a singular project. But they're still pretty easy to find. So there's my retail goods, generic versus name brands, internet access, disposable income, and senior population. So there's all 5. Now, suitability analysis will let you have extra variables. So if there are other variables that your students want to look for to market their product, you can just go back to categories and add as many as you want. I would add them to favorites as you click on them, though, just in case you need to access them later. Go ahead and click Apply. And it's going to instantly rank what you have on the screen. So initially, this county in South Carolina seems to have the highest rank. So you'll notice a rank number here, 1 all the way to 126, and then also a final score. So how well your data fits the model you created. And 0.81 is pretty good. But it is deceptively good because the first thing you're going to notice in my criteria list is it's using total count for all of these variables. That is not what I used initially, and I really need those data types to match. Otherwise, I'm probably excluded areas in my smart map search that I wouldn't have in the suitability if I had used total count. So go ahead and match your variables to what you initially had. And you'll notice in doing so, I've changed my site or my top sites significantly, and I've also changed the final score a little bit. So there's initially what the data shows. Now, there are a lot of changes you can make in suitability analysis. The first one I already showed you is that you can change the data type. The second, if you go under more options, is you can choose the influence. So do you want a positive correlation or a negative correlation? Do you want high values or low values? This is super useful. You can also play with the sliders like we did in smart map searching, though it will most likely start to eliminate even more counties. Not necessarily a bad thing, just something to keep in mind. I'll show you what I mean. So if I grab a slider, notice the ones turning blue are no longer in the ring. Another thing I can do is I can change the weight. So initially all of these categories are weighted evenly, but most likely there's going to be one or two variables that your students have identified that should weigh more heavily in the final decision than others. For example, if I'm marketing to a senior citizen population, I probably want this variable to be higher than my other ones. So I can change it to say maybe 30%. And it didn't change my top ranked county, but it did drop the final score a little bit. So it's really a balancing act between choosing the criteria you want and also trying to maximize your final score. Let's say that I've done this analysis and it turns out that having internet access at home isn't very important, or I want to see how important it is, I can just remove it from the rank. You'll notice that my county went up, or my final score went up a little bit, my county stayed the same. Number 2 and 3 did change though. So to review, make sure your data types match. You can add and remove criteria as needed. You can change the weight of one or more categories. So notice when I changed the senior population to 30, it evened out all the other categories. And I can change more than one. So um, disposable income, let's say that's actually more important. And we'll set that one to say 25. Now it did readjust the senior population as well, so you kind of have to play with them. If you want this one to stay 30 though, go ahead and lock down your 25. Change this to 30. And lock that down as well. So now it has to adjust their movements, and you can always choose to unlock as needed. Once you have all of the data weighted and the type and the relationship, inverse and positive, all of that the way you want it, you're going to do a couple of things. The first thing you're going to do is export. Now you can export it to Excel if you would like to include the table in your project, but what's most important is we need to export it to a suitability layer. So go ahead and click that. Give it a name. Go ahead and include all site attributes in the report. Okay. I'm not done yet because if I click next and I click I'm done, it disappears. It's not gone. You go back to Shark Tank video. You can see it under suitability, and then I can open the analysis and get all that data back. So it's saved in Business Analyst, but it's not saved anywhere else. And trust me, you want to save this stuff any place you can. So we're actually going to go ahead and export this map just like we did before. This time I'm going to call it Suitability. And it's going to do the geographies of the smart map search, so it's going to give us both. Go ahead and export to a new feature service. And open Kitchen. So this layer will also now be, or this map, it's giving us the whole map, will now be available in ArcGIS Online, just like the smart map search. Again, if you are working on this project towards the end of class or at any point when you might have to put it down, save, save, save. Otherwise, you're going to have to go through redoing all that criteria. That's not very fun. So that is it for video number 2. In this video, we took the results of the smart map search and we ran what's called a suitability analysis, where you could add additional criteria to your smart map search if you wanted, or use the original data. I showed you different ways you could change the data and how that changed the rank and the final score of the counties involved. I'll see you next time in video 3.